Well, the first of my Crash Bandicoot reviews is finally here. Let's dive in and review Crash Bandicoot for the Sony PlayStation. Now, for those who are unaware, Crash Bandicoot was a game developed by Naughty Dog and published by Universal Interactive in 1996 for the Sony PlayStation. When the game released, it became wildly popular among audiences and became one of Sony's many system sellers, and even served as a small stepping stone for making Naughty Dog the powerhouse company they are today. Now, is this game worth all the attention or is it greatly overrated? Well, it's time to find out. Let's get our story out of the way first, because it's nothing special. An evil scientist named Dr. Neocortex and his assistant, Embryo, have been working on a device called the Cortex Vortex, which will turn any innocent animal into Cortex mindless super soldier. In an attempt to use the device on an innocent Bandicoot, the machine backfires and the Bandicoot, named Crash, escapes. Cortex then prepares Crash's girlfriend, Tawna, to get into the vortex. So you're off on a journey to stop Dr. Neocortex from turning your girlfriend into some fried Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot is a 3D platformer that is entirely linear. While it might not look like much now, this game was pretty amazing. There were no stars or coins, there was simply a beginning and end. This even led to the game being nicknamed the Sonic's Ass Game during its development, as constantly having to look at the character's backside wasn't very common at the time. With Crash, you can move in 8 directions, and you can use your spin attack to break open crates which are scattered throughout the levels. In these crates, you can find Wampa Fruits, and collecting 100 of these Wampa Fruits will give you an extra life. However, you can also find lives in crates with a Crash mug on them. In crates, you can also find certain character mugs. You can find Tawna mugs, in which collecting 3 of them will take you to a bonus round where you can save. Embryo mugs will bring you to a special bonus round in which the only real goal is to obtain extra lives and serve as a challenge. And lastly, Cortex mugs, which will bring you to another kind of bonus round in which you can obtain keys. Levels usually take place on a straight path. However, certain levels can be side-scrolling, and one of the most interesting parts is that certain levels can be both linear and side-scrolling, constantly changing views from your big fat ass to your side. It does an excellent job of adding variety and challenge. At times, you're never really sure if you're going to continue moving on your side, or if a linear segment is going to be thrown at you. It's an excellent way to make the game original, and I love it. It keeps the game fun without being repetitive. To add even more variety, however, there are levels where you get chased by a boulder and levels where you ride on a hog. Your goal in each level is to go from start to finish and try not to die 1,000 times like I did. Upon completing each level, you will unlock the next. The levels are spread out on a map, which spans across 3 separate islands. There's a very clear contrast that I enjoy between each island as well. The first island is very natural and has a calm feel to it. The second island is more spooky and scary, and takes place on long bridges and dark temples. The third island, the one owned by Cortex, has a very industrialized feel. The ancient temples in the level Temple Ruins have been reworked, and have been made dark labs and generator room. The changes are very subtle, but I love them for that. They went out of their way to do the best that they could with the little that they had, and they should be applauded for that. With the way I've talked this game up, you would think I love it. Well, quite the contrary. This game is good, but it is far from being considered excellent. Now, how did levels play? The early levels are very easy and don't require a whole lot of skill. I might also point out that they don't do an excellent job preparing you for what's ahead, as this game is very challenging. In fact, this is the second hardest game of the series that I am reviewing, and I am reviewing 12. That's quite a lot. Also, the hog doesn't control the greatest, and the boulder levels are just so damn claustrophobic. I cannot tell you how many times I unexpectedly got ran over by that boulder. But I can show you.
It's over 9,000!
After completing every couple of levels, you get to fight a boss. The bosses are considered by many to be the highlight of the game, but I really don't see why. Most of the bosses are incredibly easy, especially Ripperoo. The only boss that killed me was Embryo, and he only did it once. Sure, Koala Khan gave me some trouble, but I still beat him without dying. The bosses are, for the most part, very forgettable and very easy, and the fact that people consider them the best part of the game doesn't speak well for the rest. As for the rest of the game, it's pretty well designed. The levels were designed with patience in mind. If you take your time and be careful with your movement, you'll find little to no trouble with this game. Thankfully, they weren't stupid enough to make time a major factor of this game. Oh. However, there are 3 major problems with the gameplay. Major problem number 1 is that Crash controls like crap. He feels so slippery and awkward to control, and you can never be 100% sure if you're gonna land a jump or not, and I just hate it. Also, controlling with the D-pad doesn't help. The PlayStation controller's D-pad feels like a fucking knife. Half of the time it feels like I'm getting stabbed instead of playing a video game. Of course, this is before PlayStation had analog controllers, so to be fair, this was more to blame for Sony than for Naughty Dog. So, I guess I'll give the D-pad problem a pass. But that still doesn't excuse Crash's slippery controls. Major problem number 2. The save system in this game is terrible. In order to save, you have to enter a level, collect the 3 taunt mugs, and then complete the bonus round without dying, and only then will you be allowed to save. This can present some serious problems. If you die in a bonus round, you lose your ability to save, and the bonus round becomes locked out. Also, upon saving the game, it only saves your progress up to the level you were on. It doesn't save progress for the next level. Basically, you save on level 3, you game over in level 4. Instead of bringing you back to level 4, it brings you to level 3, and you are forced to play level 3 all over again. Not to mention that some of these levels get really hard, and it is a huge pain in the ass to go back and do them. Plus, one time the game glitched out in the bonus round. It just straight up crapped out. I did not enjoy playing that level again. One good thing about this game, however, is that even after completing the final boss, it still presents some replay value. If you go through a level and collect all the boxes, you will be awarded a gem. Certain levels will also award color gems, which will open platforms and new levels which lead to new gems. However, there is one major problem with gems, and this leads us back to our third major problem. What? Oh, you thought I skipped the third problem for a second, didn't you? Yeah? Well, fuck you, here's major problem number 3. To get a gem, you need to get all of the boxes in the level. You also need to do this without dying, and this is where the game becomes less challenging and more tedious. It's not fun to slowly trudge through a level and check every corner for boxes. It's fun to race as fast as you can against Oxide. It's not fun to die in a level and have to play the whole thing over again. It's fun to grab orbs and charge into Ripto at full force. You get what I'm trying to say? Games can be hard and fun. Games don't need to be excessively difficult. The concept and graphics of this game are its only major strengths. Otherwise, it's pretty weak. The rest of the game isn't bad, just lackluster. The bosses, they were okay. The soundtrack, there are a few memorable songs, but it's mostly hit or miss. The levels, long and excessively difficult and annoying to control. Crash Bandicoot is by no means a bad game. In fact, it's a pretty good game. But it hasn't aged very well. Games like Spyro and Jak and Daxter have aged much better, but we'll give Crash a break because he came first. However, that does not excuse the slippery controls, tedious gem collecting, and irritating save system. I definitely recommend it if you are willing to get into the Crash series, but if you are only looking to play the original and no more, then give it a pass, as it's not worth your time unless you're willing to play its sequels. Now our question is, will Naughty Dog build upon the monster hit they have created, or will they half-ass a sequel in hopes that it will sell well? We'll find out next time when we tackle Crash Bandicoot 2.